And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. So, as you guys could probably tell already by the title of this video, I did pull the trigger. I went and I got a ticket for Leon Harts 90 Pop Shop, and I'm very excited about it. Normally, I wouldn't be this excited about something like that, but I looked at the options and I said to myself, I said, hey, if I had an option to get one of these tickets, I would. So, in order for me to go down there, it's going to involve, a plane. It's going to involve a hotel room, obviously the price of the ticket, but it wasn't really a money issue. It was more just getting the okay from my wife because we do have a newborn at home. But I looked at it this way. This is definitely going to be like one of those lifetime or once in a lifetime type opportunities. And realistically, I want to just have this conversation, talk about this video, and like what type of packs maybe do I think I could get, or what will the actual experience be like? And then after that, we'll actually just talk about some Pokemon. And I don't know, like I think more likely than not, the packs I'm going to get will probably be like base set 2 or jungle or fossil. Now, he did have different tiers for like different ticket uh so there was like the highest tier, there was a middle tier, there was a general emissions tier, and then those three still had the pack option. And then the very last tier was just like a total general emissions, but you don't get an actual pack. So I figured, hey, if I'm flying a couple thousand miles across the country to go to this pop shop, I'm just going to get whatever the highest tier was. So the highest tier was 175 bucks. And I don't know if you guys saw the email, and I'm sure probably most of you did, but those that didn't, I'll just kind of read what like the tier I got. I didn't even like look at the prices for the lower tier, so I'm not sure. Like I said, it was 175 bucks. Whenever I do this channel, whenever I talk about pack opening stuff like that, I always talk about it more from the investment side. And I always tell you guys, like, don't spend a lot of money, especially on crazy packs like this. But this isn't really me spending money to open packs. This is me spending money for a total experience. And I have been to Dallas before. I've actually worked out of Texas in the past when I was still working in the oil field. So I'm very loosely familiar with the area, but I mean, I just know it's going to be fun. But anyways, the package I got had one general admissions ticket, VIP early entry to the venue, meet and greet opportunity with Leon Hart, participate in pack opening live stream, one reserved card pack, official VIP laminate, merchandise bundle, and then exclusive VIP lounge access. I have no clue what VIP lounge accesses or anything like that. I just know it's going to be fun. And I did watch one of his videos in the past when he was talking about like what his ideal situation for this 90s pop shop would be like. And one of the things he talked about is having like more an adult section. And in the adult section, there would be like a beer garden or something like that. Like, I hope it's something like that because it's very rare. One of the reasons I do this channel is because I like to talk Pokemon. But if we could actually have like an entire day, or for me, like a weekend, my plan is I'm gonna fly out I'm gonna take Friday off of work. I'm gonna fly out on Friday, and then I'm gonna fly back on Sunday. So they'll still give me like Friday night and then all day Saturday at the venue, and hopefully it's worth it. Like, I want to go for the experience more than anything else. But like I said, the packs I expect, base set 2, jungle fossil, those will probably be like the majority of the packs. But if for any reason we get the option to pick our own packs, and I mean, it's always going to go out on a little bit of a ledge saying like maybe there'll be some really good packs. Like, I know he has a ton of like base set blisters and stuff, but I've opened a lot of that stuff in the past. In my perfect situation, perfect world, if let's just remove price, and I'm not even thinking about like prices of packs or anything like this. I'm so far past that thought. But if I could have my ideal situation and I have the option, I would probably go after like a Skyridge pack. That would be like the ideal pack I would want to open, or an Aquapolis or Expedition. But honestly, I probably wouldn't want to go after like any of the gyms, a couple of the Neos maybe. Like I wouldn't mind like a Neo Discovery and pulling a Shine and Raichu or something like that. But even though they're way cheaper packs, I would love to open up any Gold Star set live stream. You know, if I could open up any of the Gold Star sets, and yeah, is it like crazy high risk trying to pull a Gold Star? Of course it is, but it's not about that. It's just about the experience. And I was trying to think like what would be the Gold Star set I would want. And I know I talk about like early Nintendo stuff and I talk about Team Rocket Returns, but I'm like, if I was gonna open just one Gold Star set on live stream, like what would it be? And I had to think about it. Like, yeah, I was like, okay, Holland Phantoms. We talked about that in the last, and we talked about like Crystal Guardians. Like those are two great sets. But then, right after Crystal Guardians, you have Dragon Frontiers, and I'm like, you know what? I think I would try to. I mean, if again, this is just brainstorm, and if like I had the opportunity to open up one like EX Gold Star set live stream, just one single pack, like I would definitely consider just doing the Dragon Frontier because when you think about like, okay, we're just talking in hypotheticals right now, but what would be the cards you would want to pull live stream? It would be the Charizard Gold Star, right? And the Charizard Gold Stars in Dragon Frontiers, or the other Gold Star in the set is the Mew card. So, or sorry, the Mew Gold Star. And Dragon Frontiers, like I was thinking like, because I at first went to just like dragon Pokemon because everyone loves dragon Pokemon, and I was like, I always think of Dragon Frontiers, I always laugh because I never think of it as a dragon Pokemon type set. And then I actually had to go back and like think about the cards that were in there, and yeah, there's like the EX Dragon Knights in there. The EX Rayquaza's in there, and the first EX Rayquaza is actually more my favorite one, the one from EX Dragon. But if you've ever hold the EX Rayquaza from Dragon Frontier, it's the card hits way different than the EX Dragon one. And then I know there was like the Black Star promo EX Rayquaza, but I don't really count that when I think like hardcore EX cards. And I was like, yeah, but even if I hit like some of the hollows in the set, like I'm not super familiar with the set. I just know the cards I own. So like I know there's like the hollow Typhlosion is real awesome artwork, but one of my favorite EX hollows is in Dragon Frontiers, and that's the hollow Ninetales in the set. And if you guys have never actually physically seen the hollow Ninetales in Dragon Frontiers, like it is a crazy awesome card. It's like purple background. The hollow is fantastic. It has like the moon in the background. Like that card hits. That's one of those cards that if you look at a photo, you would probably like maybe gloss over that Ninetales real quick, but it's definitely like top, maybe top five Ninetales artwork, like in my book. But dude, I am definitely interested in, this whole experience. And I don't know if any of you guys live down in Texas or you guys are going to actually be going to the pop shop, but like I'd totally be down if like, a bunch of people want to meet up maybe at like a brewery or a restaurant or something. Like I'm definitely 100% not going to commit to anything right away because I think it's just way too soon for that, but I definitely like would be open to that, but definitely not committed to anything. But you know, we talk about Leon Hart, we talk about like, the pack open, and sometimes like we'll say things like, yeah, it's like that crazy overhyped channel when he's opening packs, but also, man, you got to give him like a ton of respect because we also take for granted a lot of things on his channel. Like he'll have just on a random weekday opening up 20 vintage packs or 12 vintage packs or 10 vintage packs. And like, I think sometimes when we've watched his openings, we have been so spoiled as viewers because most of the stuff he's opening is probably truly unweighed. I know he does weigh out a lot of the stuff, but we've already like discovered like a lot of stuff about pack weights just from him opening packs, and like it is a good like source of information and knowledge, and especially when you go back to some of his older videos, when you go back like 3 years ago, some of those real older videos where like the quality wasn't the same, and it was when he was still kind of, I guess you call it, sitting behind a computer chair or something like that. Those older videos, some of the packs he opened up in those were some bangers, man. Like especially, I re- I remember, I want to say it was, forget which set it was, but oh man, maybe it was EX Delta Species. I think he pulled the gold star from that set. But I know he's pulled some gold stars in the past, and obviously, like there's the big cards everyone knows about, like the first edition Charizard he did and that he pulled and stuff. And yeah, those cards are always like awesome to see. But I'm excited to just talk Pokemon for a whole weekend. Like I don't know how you guys feel when you go, like when I go to work during the day, I go home, I go to work, and all I do while I'm at work is I talk about like what I do for a living, and I talk about my job. And then when I come home, that I just don't talk about work. That's not what I want to talk about. But I don't look at Pokemon as a job. I look at Pokemon as a hobby, as something that I do for strictly fun. So just the thought of being able to dedicate like a bunch of time to just, shoot the shit, just talk about Pokemon. And I've already been like brainstorming, like, what am I going to put in my pockets when I go there? In my head, I'm like, I haven't worn a pair of cargo shorts since I don't know, 2004. But now in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna have to wear cargo shorts. Like, I'm gonna need savers in one pocket. I'm gonna need card savers in another. I'm gonna need like my room key card and my wallet and all this stuff and my phone. And I just, laugh and like I feel almost giddy just the fact that I could go do something like this, and I think it's just gonna be awesome. And I right now, especially with like plane tickets and stuff, I was like, well, let me look at how much a round trip ticket would be. And it was like $325 for like a 2,000 mile flight. And I was like, okay, like I'm in. So I don't know. I'm excited about it. I'm curious if any of you guys actually did get some tickets, and if you guys like considered what I was considering. And I know I'll definitely like make a bunch of content out of this too. And I mean, I don't have a size channel or anything like the ads or whatever. It's not about the money. It's about just like sharing the experience and going through like, I want to do some like, more of the behind the scenes stuff. So I'll record some videos and stuff, and maybe actually do some editing, which I'm not like fantastic at, but actually like put together some real fun videos that people would actually find interest in. And, just maybe meet up with some people from that are fans of the channel. Now, I don't have any delusions of grandeur or anything of like that this is a big channel, but I'm sure that there's going to be a couple people out there that actually enjoy this channel, enjoy like having the conversation, which is Pokemon, and maybe even just, sitting at a table with some people having a beer. And I don't care if we're opening, Evolving Skies or Battle Styles together, like it would just still be cool to sit down and like sit down next to somebody who cares about the cards and the artwork and Pokemon in general as much as you. I just think that you almost can't equate a price to this. So I'm just very excited about it. But yeah, I wanna like open up the chat. I want to know like what you guys can imagine this is going to be, because there's always the possibility that this can be a massive flop, and I'm just going to spend probably between the price of the ticket and the hotel room and the flight, like there's always a chance like that all this money is a waste, and it ends up being like, what was that the Fire Festival? Have you guys seen any of like those Hulu or Netflix documentaries on the Fire Festival? Maybe it'll be like that, but I don't think it will. And the reason I don't think it will be a flop is because I know Leon Hart originally, like going back months ago, talked about maybe it being in October, and then he talked about maybe like November, December, and now that he actually has a cemented date at the end of January, in my head at least, I think like he must have worked out all the kinks for this and stuff, and however it's gonna be rolled out is gonna be fun. And yeah, man, I'm excited, and I think I think it would just be interesting because the last 2 years, I haven't gone to any events really. Well, not really. I haven't, especially because of COVID and stuff. And yeah, like there's definitely like all the variants coming out and stuff, so there could be that risk. But I'm not worried about that. I'm just happy to actually like be out, be around like-minded people, and I think that's like a lot of the things. Like people like to surround themselves with like-minded people, and then for to have one weekend to surround myself with just Pokemon enthusiasts will be freaking awesome. And then especially if you could, sit down in a beer garden and stuff like this, it's going to be awesome. And yeah, I am interested to hear like some of your guys' thoughts. I haven't really been reading the chat, but Joe said, dude, I'm so excited. I'd love to meet up when you're down here. Yeah, man. Like, totally open to stuff like that. I'm not going to commit to anything, but I'm definitely not ruling out anything yet. I'll probably just, see how everything goes. See a lot of familiar faces in the chat right now. How's it going, Professor Oak, Chavals, Andrew, Basic Trainer, Jonathan, Chavals? Good to see you guys. Uh, hey, sound only just started. Wait. Basic trainer, you said sound only. Are you seeing the screen now? Just let me know. I'm assuming you got Jonathan said, I'm assuming you got the VIP experience. Yeah, like it was $175. Jonathan, I didn't even look at the other tiers. Like when I go to events like this, like I'm it's not about the money at a certain point. Like, yeah, it can, like, oh, humble brag coming from me. Like, I'm a douchebag. No, it's not like that. It's just like, all right, if I'm going to this event and I'm going to buy a plane ticket, buy a hotel room and whatever, all the expenses that are involved, I'm going to get the VIP experience just because I don't want to get down there and then see the VIP lounge or something and it be something so special that I'm like, I shouldn't have been like cheap over $25 or something and be kicking myself after I flew 2,000 miles. Like, so yeah, I did get the VIP experience. Uh, Andrew says, damn, I want to go. There was a part of me was like, so when the email came out, he had done like a community post a few days back and pretty much said like sign up for the newsletter, and I had signed up for 2 emails, and one of the emails I actually get notifications on my phone, and that was the one that like I was just happened to see it come up, and then it was like one of those real quick like I got to make decisions, because when I saw this email come up, I'm like, there's no way that these tickets don't sell out just instantly. So first thing I do is I'm at work, first thing I do is pick up the phone, call my wife. She doesn't answer. I chain called her like 7 times till she finally picked up the phone and pretty much just said, hey, are you okay with me going to this? And then she was totally down for it right away. So total props to her. And anyway, so when I was on the tickets, I don't know what the max was, how many I could have got, but I thought about like purchasing more. I'm like, there's probably going to be some people out there who like I'm familiar with or at least talk to who would probably want to go, but I couldn't start taking that risk and buying a bunch of tickets for people that I don't even personally know and may or may not want to go. So, uh, Jonathan said, yeah, get a pack and an experience. Yeah, I think, yeah, sure. It's always about the pack, right? Like the pack's going to be definitely the highlight. And I don't know, like I already told you guys the packs I would like to open and the sets I would like to open. But again, I think realistically, probably going to be like a lot of the jungle, a lot of the fossil unlimiteds, and probably base set two. So if I had the option of those three, I would definitely say probably like base set two, because then I have the chance to pull the Charizard. And then same thing, if it was base set was an option, I'd go after base set before base set two with just that Charizard chase. But it's crazy to think that like you're paying money to go open a vintage pack, but it's not even about, I mean, it's not even about the pack itself. It's just about the experience. And I mean, it's just gonna be cool, man. Uh Professor Oak said, you're gonna pop bottles with the open mouth YouTubers. I don't think I no Professor Oak, I don't think I'm not in that group, man. I'd be more inclined to hang out with a bunch of you guys than hang out with a bunch of the open mouth YouTubers. Marcus V, good to see you in the chat. Yeah, never cold. What's up, man? Joe says it was 212 total with the insurance. Yeah. So that's a good point, Joe. It was 175 before taxes, and then you could add like a $14 insurance just in case something crazy came up. And yeah, I did add that insurance so it did come up to like 212 total. So he's right. Joe says he got the same picture. Oh, that's Rockefeller Center, 1932. One of my favorite photos. Yeah, Never Cold said physically seeing cards is a big difference. Yeah, I think you're referring to when I'm talking about that Nine Tails from Dragon Frontiers. Man, that card hits hard. Yeah, Joe said got to give Leon Hart credit for bringing the hobby to a wider audience and allowing us to relive our childhood. Yeah, vicariously. Yeah, definitely agree with that. Basic says he lives in San Antonio, Texas, and worst case scenario, I'm crashing Dallas 100%. Nice, man. I would like to see you down there. When I got in collecting, Leon Hart was legit the first channel I watched in depth. And you know what, man? I think he's probably the first channel a lot of people watch in depth, because anytime you pick up anything, I don't care what the hobby is, and Pokemon especially, hobbies can be tough, and there can be like a huge learning curve. And I think Pokemon is that huge learning curve, but Leon Hart helped really make that learning curve real smooth for people. And maybe it is on a little bit lower end, but the more of his like content you watch and the more you listen to him talk, you could tell he's definitely like very understanding of a lot of like the financials that goes into this. And yeah, was he like one of the first people to put prices on the screen and stuff? Yeah, but like because he understands what's going on. Like he's a very smart dude, man. And yeah, there might be like the Leon Hart persona, him on the screen just open up packs and yelling and flipping out, but like there's some of that is definitely acting and for the theatrics of it, but then there's also that is pretty intense. All right, let's see. He said, Keen says it's either going to be amazing or an absolute mess. Yeah, I'm giving Leon Hart the benefit of the doubt because he's been on this pop shop for a year now. And you know what? I think this thought has been in his head for a lot longer than a year, man. So I don't think it's going to go poorly. Just so everyone knows, they do a regular negative test, 72 hours or less. Basic said that's why I don't mess with Collected Con. Yeah. Pokin Fun said $212 per ticket. Well, his whole plan changed then. The thought was, yeah, to get in cheap and get a $3 vintage pack for, yeah, $212. You could get one. So it was to pay to play. Sound fun though. Yeah. So Pokin Fun, yes, but there was different tiers. Like there was definitely like the bottom tier where you could open up packs, and I think it was like $50. But I chose, and I chose to pay more for that more VIP experience. But you could have went there and spent $50, and I'm sure a lot of that, and the price of the pack is included in that price, but a lot of that was just to probably pay for the venue and stuff, because there's no way you could put something on this large with probably I'm gonna have to take a guess and say that there's gonna be a well over 1,000 people are gonna be at this event. So in order to put on any sort of event that big, you would definitely need to have at least some kind of money coming in just to pay for stuff like that. But you're right though. It is more a pay to play type thing, and I'm gonna agree with you on that. Like I'm paying to play for a weekend. You know. Yeah, the little vacation, a break from the family routine, always good to get a breath of fresh air once in a while. Yeah, I'm not one to go on vacations or anything. With the exception of Pokemon, it's a tough exception. I don't spend a lot of money myself, so. Yeah, Basic Trainer said, "Salute to the wise who support our inner child." Yeah. Uh, Basic Trainer said, "I met him. I had a conversation with him at Collector Con, and he is nothing like the YouTube persona." Yeah, I could believe that. Leon Harts, the reason I got back into Pokemon. Yeah. Between the flights and gas fees, why not just buy it online? Yeah, Monty, it's. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and this is for me not about like the price of the pack at that point. Like, you, like I said, more likely than not, the sets I'm probably gonna look at getting is a jungle, fossil, or base set two. So you're talking like some of these packs for unlimited, it's like $200. So I've already made the mental decision that it's not about like the price of the pack. It's gonna be for the experience, at least in my situation. Uh, and yeah, also I saw one of his videos. He was talking about having like a little section. So as soon as so there would be like the area where you would buy your pack, like call it the pop shop, and then you would go into an area where they would be live streaming all these openings. And I'm hoping that the live streams go smooth, but it's probably going to be a little tough just because the sheer amount of people. And we've seen what happens when you have a ton of really good packs being opened. And, look at what happened with like that unlisted leaf opening. So it could possibly be tough to see that many people opening packs on the live stream. And I'm hoping that that isn't what makes it really messy. So if it is really messy with a ton of people opening packs there at the event, it could be a very strong possibility that being there in person would have a very different feel. But then it appears that he's going to have PSA or some grading company, I'm going to guess PSA, on site grading cards. So I've already thought in the back of my head, like, if I pull a chase card, yes, obviously I'm going to have it graded there and then because you can't really beat the convenience factor of on site grading. But then in the back of my head, I was like, well, if I don't pull a card, I still do have some cards that I would be fine with grading at right now at the $150 tier. I'm like, I'm just going to literally bring one of those cards with me, or maybe a couple of those cards with me. And as soon as I don't pull, if say I pull a non hollow, I could go up to the PSA grading table and say, hey, by the way, I just pulled this hollow. Can you grade it for me right now on the spot? So I've already like been thinking that through. So that would be kind of funny. Like work in the on-site PSA grading system. Uh, and then who knows if they're going to do any sort of like uh, like like pedigree or anything on the labels. I know PSA doesn't usually do pedigrees. I know with the Logan Paul one, they did do a pedigree, and as you guys know with PSA labels, like they're already pretty tight, so it is very hard to actually add more writing to those labels. So, but maybe there'll be some sort of pedigree to it, like uh, Leon Hart 90 Pop Shop or something on there, which would be cool. Any of the cards I pull, any of this, they're just gonna all go into my personal collection. Like it's none of this is about money or about investing, which always I talk about on this channel and always try to express. And I literally just made a video the other day talking about people spending $850 on Holland Phantom packs for PokeRev, but I think that is a much different situation than going somewheres in person, spending a day at like you might as well call it in a Pokemon amusement park for the day. I think it would be a little bit different. So I don't know. Maybe this is just me in my head justifying stuff, and maybe when this video is over, down in the comments, people could shred me apart and saying that I'm, paying well over what I should have been. But uh, Pokin Fun says it's 3-day event though, ain't it? That I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think it's just a 1 day. If I haven't bought my plane ticket yet, so if it is a 3-day event, I'm gonna have to go back and look. You said Booyah said get that Leon Hop Pop Shop pedigree. Yeah, it would be cool, man, if they offer it. Yeah, so you say Booyah, man. If you ever want to reach out to me, I know we talked about it real quickly in the past before, but if you ever want to reach out to me on email, if you're ever interested in coming on a live stream and just having a chat about Pokemon, man, I would enjoy having a conversation with you. Definitely about some more of the vintage sets. Basic Trainer said, for those who have not been to these type of events, I would 100 recommend everyone to go to at least one because it's amazing feeling being around and talking to fellow geeks and nerds like ourselves. Yeah, man. Wonder if PSA will have that event pedigree though. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just brainstorming. Mason said, it's you spent $200 for a good time. People blow that on a weekend bender. No one should be shaming you for having fun. Yeah, I'm probably gonna end up spending a lot more than $200, Mason, between flights, hotel, and the actual ticket. But dude, I spent a lot of money on some stupid stuff before. Then I spent some money on some stuff that was stupid at the time, and then 2020 Pokemon came and it wasn't so stupid anymore. So, and me and my wife already talked about it. When I called her up, I said, listen, I don't have to take money out of like my bank account, out of the joint account, nothing like that. I'll just literally sell some Pokemon cards in the month of December to pay for my entire trip. And she was like, fine. And we already got to that point where by me selling off a bunch of cards in the past, like paying off all debt, most of the house and stuff like that, like because all that money has already gone to stuff like that, that it doesn't matter now what the money gets spent on when it comes to Pokemon. So if I had the funds, I'd definitely go. Definitely going to be a great time. Yeah. I think it's I think it's completely different. You're paying for an experience. Yeah. Well, if the level of excitement you're showing is any indication the event is worth it so much to you, then yeah, any amount of money. Uh, Team Trevor said separate accounts. uh, but yeah, man, I think it's just gonna be fun. And I want to know in the chats, like, all right, so we're just brainstorming here. If you guys had your ideal pack you could open right now, like what would be the pack you wanted to open? And it doesn't have to be about price. So don't write like, I just want to open Shadowless first edition base or stuff like that. Unless that is truly the one pack, like would be your dream pack. But like for me, I was brainstorming like sets I like to open. I already talked about it earlier in the video, like Dragon Frontiers be a big one. Crystal Guardians be a big one for me. Howling Phantoms, EX Team Rocket Returns, uh, like Neo Discovery, try to pull a Shine and Raichu. And some of these cards, like obviously I already own most of these cards, but very few, if any of these cards have I pulled myself. So whenever you pull a card yourself, opposed to buying that card already graded or buying that card raw and grading it yourself. And I definitely think like there's levels, right? There's buying a card raw, grading it is a different type of feeling because you got that 10 yourself, or you know what I'm talking about. Like it's a different experience versus buying an already graded card. But then remove those two and go to the actual pack opening experience. When you actually pull a card yourself, that is a card that you want as part of your personal collection, it's such a different type of experience. And that's why I always talk like my dream card, dream card, like remove price, remove everything. My dream card, which will never happen. It will never happen like with the way the market has gone. But I would have in the past loved to have opened a first edition base set pack and pulled a Raichu. Have it graded myself, grade a 10. Like that would be like one of my huge chase cards. But like the thought of opening a Skyridge pack too, pulling a Crystal Charizard, grading that, even getting a 9 or a 10, or just any of like the big chase cards. Like even if I pulled like, Stormfront, like if I pulled a level X Raichu, I'd be happy with. You could go like on Heart Gold Soul Silver Undaunted. If I could pull like the Raichu Prime, like that would be an awesome card for me to pull. There's just you could go through so many different sets and say, what set would I want to open? And when you could look at like different cards, and I'm sure there's a lot of you guys out there would just want to open like, the Jungle Fossil, and then like that's fine. If those are the sets that you feel passionate about, that like you would have the most fun opening, like that's fine. Team Rocket Joey said Skyridge. Yeah, Joey. So when I started the stream, that was the one I would say I wanted to open. Like Skyridge, just so many good hollows. So even the reverse hollows are fun. Even like you're gonna get a non-hollow rare in that too. Even a lot of the non-hollow rares are freaking. They're well. Obviously, all the non-hollow rares are still the hollows, just in non-hollow form. Like number 27 in Skyridge is Raichu, I think. I don't quote me on that. I think it's Rhydon, Raichu, and uh, the legendary dog, Raikou. I think it goes Rhydon. No, wait. Raichu. I don't know. It's like those three. Maybe it's alphabetical. I don't remember exactly. I don't know. See, this is what happens. I go off on tangents. I try to remember like number 26, number 27, number 28. uh, let's see. What else do people say? So Joe said EX Hidden Legends or Call Legends. Yeah, hands down. Hidden Legends, big fan of Hidden Legends, man. When you talk about a set that has a ton of EX cards, EX Hidden Legends has a bunch, man. Has a ton. Like just miles above everyone else. But, you know. So Never Cold said Holland Phantoms, Dragon Frontiers, First Edition. Yeah, dude, that's funny. Like those are definitely like up there with me. Never Cold with the ones I would want to pull. Mason said Legendary Collection would be great. It's like 2 hits in one with the firework reverses. And you're right, Mason. Like I you gotta think like technically it's possible. It's probably never happened before, but it is possible. Can you imagine if you opened up a legendary collection card and your reverse hollow was, the Charizard, and then your next card for the hollow was the Charizard? Like that would be one of those packs that first, well, no one would ever think that really happened, but it would be one of those packs that would just go down in like the history and the lore of Pokemon. Like the one person who pulled the reverse Holo Charizard and the Holo Charizard in a legendary collection pack, like that would be crazy. But I like my favorite reverse holo in that set is the Dark Raichu, the secret rare from Team Rocket. Like that one, what is it? 83 out of 82. But they also have that card in Reverse Holo and Legendary Collection, and that's definitely my favorite Reverse Holo from Legendary Collection. But man, it is great. Like even the commons and uncommons in Reverse Holo form, like they hit different. And I would definitely say like yes, all fire Pokemon in that set do have like the best reverse holos, but I really like the legendary collection reverse holo for all the grass energy types. Like the green that they used for those reverse holos it is really well done. Like I almost prefer the grass reverse holos over the fire. So Basic Trainer said first edition base hands down, but if it was not an option, then Legendary Collection, yeah, man. You said Booyah said Legend Maker, second choice. Yeah, man. You're a smart guy. I love Legend Maker. The hollows are sick. Yeah, totally agree. Legend Maker. It's one of my favorite sets. Yeah, Cheval said, Mason, I'd say the reverse hollow is a real hit. The regular hollow pattern is bland, and there's often bad shaped straights out of the pack. Well, this is the thing, too. You got to remember that Legendary Collection, while we all look at it now and really like it, there was a while no one liked it. And I'm going to not really lie. I wasn't like always a fan of Legendary Collection until like later in my collecting journey or whatever you want to call it. And my thought process behind Legendary Collection was even though, yeah, like the reverse hollows were nice, I always just really had like a poor thought about Legendary Collection in my head just because you're already tired of base set. You're already tired of jungle. You're already tired of fossil. Then to add insult to injury, Pokemon card comes out with base set 2. and then legendary collection. And when you talk about legendary collection, like it's just recycled stuff, hardcore recycled. So whatever the legendary collection like symbol is, I don't even know what is it, an exclamation point. Like it doesn't even the set symbol isn't like crazy. But yeah, it's just legendary collection was never on my radar until after the fact. And maybe that was a product of everyone else liking legendary collection that maybe I actually started looking at legendary collection a little bit more and saying, maybe I was actually pretty wrong about this set for a pretty long time. So what are you going to do though? Professor Oak said, I pray you pull something incredible, man. Yeah, it would be an awesome experience. Pokin' Fun said, you ever see the whole video where loot box open packs with Leon Hart and he pulled the Gold Star Rayquaza? Made me fall in love and dream of opening that card myself and would love to pull Neo Lugia. So I'm not familiar. I didn't know Leon Hart ever pulled the Gold Star Rayquaza. Like, that is awesome. And when you talk about like Deoxys too, so you talk about Gold Star Rayquaza, but talk about Deoxys, like Deoxys with the Latios and the Latias. Oh wait, yeah, are those the other two gold stars in the set? Yeah, Latias and Latias are the other two gold stars in Deoxys. But yeah, I would definitely, that would be one of the dream cards to own, dream cards to pull. But when I was thinking about like packs I would have the most fun with, I definitely went to like that Dragon Frontier thought process of pulling the Charizard opposed to the Rayquaza. Let's see. Pokemon Center 25 said the Venusaur is sick. Yeah, man. I know you're talking about Legendary Collection, but I agree. The Venusaur is sick. Basic Trainer says Bulbasaur is the best reverse. Come on, man. We all know you're an Aerodactyl fan. Yeah. Never Cold said 33 in the chat. Illuminati confirmed. Nathan said, I remember buying a collection with all those reverses when I first started flipping and passing it on because I thought they were stickers. Oh, that's pretty funny, man. They're a different type of card. And when you think about it, really, Legendary Collection obviously was the very first reverse holo. But the way the reverse holos are in that is just so much different than all the other reverse holos that we ever saw afterwards. And, you know, I know you said Booyah talked about Legend Maker, like when a lot of those cards, like yeah, Legend Maker has the cell. It's a cell EX card in it, and like if you ever look at like the Jirachi Hollow from Legend Maker, and then like the Jirachi Reverse Hollow from Legend Maker, like those reverse hollows in some of those sets are actually like a lot better than the hollows because in the actual like I guess in the type or in the writing where the moves are, there's designs there, and then the hollow patterns for a lot of these sets are nice, but the reverse hollows for some of these EX sets have all like the energy symbols in it. So I have like a lightning energy or fighting energy or a grass energy, and those make up the background of the hollow. That's why sometimes when you're pulling through some of these hollows of these older sets, you're like, oh, this is a hollow. And then you have to pull it back and look at it again and say, wait a second, this isn't a hollow. This is the reverse hollow. And that's why when I talk about like those reverse hollows hitting a little bit different, that's what I'm talking about. Cheval said, yeah, he thought the reverse hollows were fake back then, but today, with the perspective we now have, it's a bit like Hidden Fates or VMAX Climates, like a special set to celebrate the end of an era. And yeah, I guess you could. That is a way you can look at it. And I haven't opened up any legendary packs to really like talk about it, but I've seen enough of them open, and the packs themselves are set up almost by type, like grass type, lightning type, fire type, and just duplicates after duplicates. Like talk about if you ever had, I don't even know if you call it quality control for legendary collection, having duplicates of the same card in a pack. But can you imagine like something like that happening now today in modern time? Everybody be like, these are all resealed packs and all this stuff. So I guess you could say quality control was always bad, even going back to, WotC. Yeah, Never Cold said me attaining legendary collection cards at this point is slim to none. Yeah, man. You know what though? They come up once in a while, and when they do come up, you just got to get lucky, especially with like big Pokemon lot auctions, and especially when people are posting old binder collections and they'll be like Pokemon cards or something like that on eBay, and it's just a photo of the front of their binder, and then you have to go through the 12 photos to see what are actually in the pages. Once in a while, you do see some legendary collection cards just snuck in there. So they're not impossible, but they are definitely getting much harder. And especially raw prices for them. There's just, I haven't really been going after them because I just think there's so many eyes on them right now trying to pick up legendary collection reverse hollows raw right now that it's just the competition for those cards isn't really worth it for me right now. Woodspring TCG, hey, how's it going, bud? Good to see you in the chat. Pokin Fun said, look for a Loot Box TV, pull Gold Star Rayquaza, pulls in Leon Harts too. Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it. Pokemon Center Celebration ETBs are up with a limit of 10 if anyone missed it the first time. Wow, limit of 10, huh? The first time they put them up was limit of 4. Those Pokemon Center ETBs too, by the way, for celebrations, they ship them out in like the actual box, the box of 4 with the stop tape on it. So if you order in lots of 4s, you'll get them sealed and you won't really get them single. So if that is just something you want to do, it's a lot of money to buy 10 of those. I think those are way more produced than any other Pokemon Center ETB. And I would like them to still go back and reprint Evolve and Skies Pokemon Center ETBs because I know a lot of people missed out on those. Never Cold said the Mason. He said, haha, I can relate. I've done stuff on eBay. I'm still a noob compared to most in the chat. Anonymous said, Quasi card. Hey, Anonymous. I'm glad to see you in the chat. I know you said you always have trouble getting on these lives, so I'm happy to see you tune in for the live stream. All right. Never Cold said he's got to get back to work. Hey, man, I'm happy to see you guys in the chat. But yeah, I just wanted to, sit back and just talk a little Pokemon cards, and we could talk a little bit more about the Leon Hart Pop Shop and just what I think it's going to be. I'm hoping it's not going to be like a Disneyland ride experience where you're just waiting in long lines the whole time and it's just okay. I take a step, and I'm going to be sitting in line for hours at a time. That's why, again, I did get the VIP pass so I can be in the VIP lounge, and I have no clue what that is. I am really hoping it is a beer garden, like he originally said, but who knows what it's like. As long as it's just, like-minded people talking Pokemon cards, man, it's going to be a fun time. And I think everyone there is going to have a fun time. And when you go to certain events, you go there with a certain mindset. And I think the mindset I'm going to go to the pop shop with is I'm going to have a good time no matter what. And I'm going to make this like a good experience no matter what. So I think when you go into situations like that with an open mind, I think you just set yourself up with success opposed to going into something and just constantly thinking of whatever the worst case scenario or all the bad things that could potentially arise from it, which maybe like analytically or something like that is the better way to go in so you don't like ruin the experience for yourself because it will always be a letdown. But dude, I'm going in to just have fun, and I do hope some of you guys live in Texas or will be there. We can have a beer together. Yeah, hidden gem. Anyone else like the Verse series cards? Ryzen. A few days ago, the Ultra Premium Collection was a limit of 10. Oh, I'm surprised they had I'm shocked by that. The Ultra Premium Collection on Pokemon Center was a limited 10, Danielle, because I know the first time they released Ultra Premium Collections, it was a limit of 1. So I do find that a little hard to believe, and I didn't hear that either. What? No, it's interesting. Basic Trainer said, Poke Knowledge, what's your take on the ultra premium metal cards and PSA's current and future markets for them? So right now, I think a lot of people are just FOMOing in those cards right now. I don't know if you guys watch TCA Gaming. I'm sure close to 99% of you guys do, but Rusty just put out a video talking about like how he had a lot of those Charizard metal cards at PSA waiting to be graded. He like cracked 4 of the UPCs open and then had those cards graded, got all 9s, then opened up another 12 ultra premium collections and had all those cards rush graded, and they all are getting sent back to him. Now, I don't know if this is one of those situations where PSA is going to figure out whatever is going wrong with these cards and they're going to fix it, and that won't be a solution anymore. But it is a little interesting that they're already starting to ship all these cards back to people and they're not giving anyone the option to keep them at PSA with like the eventuality that they will eventually be graded. So I don't really know what's going on, and I had no clue. But Rusty brought up in his video that that PSA were upcharging people to have those Charizards graded when they graded a 10, and the seal that they were using for the baseline for that upcharge was that $15,000 sale, that the one that didn't even like get paid and got canceled. But that was the sale they were using as the justification to upcharge all these metal Charizards. Like, dude, that is crazy. And like when you talk about like, oh yeah, the Pokemon market's manipulated and then shill bidded and stuff like this, like when you look at something like that where a Charizard gold card got shill bidded up to 15 grand, didn't even get paid for, but now that 15,000 is the comp that PSA is using, because you got to keep in mind at their $150 tier, your valuation of your card can only go up to $10,000, which for Pokemon, for the large vast majority of all our cards, with the exception of just a handful, it's very rare to have a lot of Pokemon cards hit above that $10,000 threshold. But then for a super ultra modern product card, or I guess you call it a card, but I like to call it like a product more because it's a metal Charizard. But for that super modern product to have the justification for PSA 10 for upcharges to be valued at $15,000, there's something massively wrong with that thought process. I have no freaking clue why PSA would have upcharged PSA 10 gold Charizards. But now, what's that going to mean for the short term? It's just going to mean, like I said, everybody's going to FOMO like crazy. The prices of those Charizards are just going to go crazy. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you are one of those lucky few at home that graded that Charizard yourself, got a PSA 10, and now you're sitting on it, you're not really sure what to do, you could have, in the very near term, an amazing opportunity to sell that card for a premium that is not justified whatsoever. And if I were you, I would sell that Charizard right now when the market will be at the highest, because again, I do believe that PSA will eventually figure out whatever the heck the problem was. And that's the thing too. They didn't even say what the problem was. They didn't say, was it like the sonic welder? And like, this is all speculation, right? Like, I don't really know how the sonic welders work. Like, obviously they work through sound, but like, I'm not a physicist. Like, sure, I understand how maybe a microwave works. How does a microwave work? Is microwave works on like a light scale. Like, just imagine light scales. You got radiation, you got UV, you got UVA, UVB, light, um, stuff like that. And then one of those is microwaves. And the way microwave heats up your food in the microwave is it actually heats up and vibrates the water molecules in food. So like when you put your hands together and you rub them together real quick and you create that friction and that heat, that's what microwaves do to like the hydrogen water molecules in your food. And that's why food you cook in the microwave cools off way faster than food you cooked in the stove. Like, that's about the extent of what I remember from like physics 101 in college. Like, that's it. So I'm guessing, this is now a huge leap of faith, that however those sonic welders work, whatever the issue is that it's somehow like potentially like decomposing the metal finish on those cards. Because you got to keep in mind, like, the card itself is painted or whatever. It has some sort of like coating on it, whatever type of metal coating that is. So maybe when they're doing that sonic welder, it's somehow causing some sort of, probably not chemical effect because you need another chemical to happen, but it's causing some sort of reaction within that card. That's my guess. Or it's the simple solution and it's just those cards shaking around in the actual slab itself. Maybe it's just dinging it up that way. But I don't know how true that is because when you think about like hardness, like plastic is way softer than metal, so the plastic shouldn't be able to ding up a metal card. But then there's also the thought of, well, it's not about dinging up the metal, it's about dinging up whatever the coating is on that actual card itself. And when you think about the coating, then it's like, oh, okay, I can definitely see plastic scratching the coating opposed to the plastic scratching the metal. And as long as we can like differentiate that it's just plastic versus coating versus plastic versus metal, it is definitely possible that these cases themselves are scratching up these cards. And we already could tell, you look at the pop reports, even though the pop reports for 10s are way higher for these metal Charizards than people originally expected. And we're seeing from like box fresh cards already a lot of like minor issues. So it could just be like an overall issue with the entire process of making those metal cards. Jonathan said, yeah, let's see, let's go back. Didn't PSA suddenly stop grading hollow bleeds and later graded them again? Don't know what happened in there, but they seem to struggle. Dude, welcome to PSA. PSA is constant. They should change their name to Flip Flop. PSA, the Flip Flop Authority, because that's all they do, man. They flip flop. They'll grade a card one week, they won't grade a card another week, and yeah, they weren't grading hollow bleed, something they had done forever in the past, and there was a lot of people got returns back because of hollow bleed, and it was, I forget what they were even like writing. I think they were writing like factory error or something like that on the cards. So they weren't even talking about like the authenticity of these cards, that they weren't grading for the hollow bleeds. They just weren't grading them because, as a factory misprint. But I think maybe a little bit of that was CGC just kept pumping away, grading all these hollow bleed cards, that PSA had to step back and open that service up again. But now the conversation is, yes, the metal cards, but a month before that, it was, PSA is no longer grading trophy cards because they're not able to like prove the lineage of some of these cards. So it's just a constant thing. And, there's a lot of older cards when you go back, and especially when you look at Nick, old school Pokemon, was here. Perfect example. He talked about like, the no damage Ninetales. Like in the past, that was only ever recognized as like a shadowless card and nothing else. So something to think about. But let's see. Oh my God, what a shill scam. Didn't PSA, oh no, we already read that one. PSA isn't a public company anymore. Yeah, they're not a public company anymore. They're just, yeah, it's interesting to think about like how they were purchased and how much that company was probably bought for versus how much that company could really be worth. And I know the conversation a lot of people have been having, and it's a great conversation to have, is, well, can PSA ever truly ramp up to the cards that they're saying, grading between 15 million to 20 million cards a year? Like, is that really a possibility? And I would say, yeah, it is a possibility, because it's a lot easier, to, well, it's easier to lay off people than it is to hire people. So if they have the ability to hire a bunch, and that's bad to say, but like that's business 101. Like, if while you're really hot and you're really busy and you can justify hiring people, you can hire a ton of people, train them, and then when times get rough, you can just lay off people. Like, it's bad to say, but you got to keep in mind, when you have employees like that, those employees are literally become revenue generating employees. They're actually performing a service. So by saying they're revenue generating employees, if I was a grader at PSA and I'm able to grade 500 cards a day, and then I work with a team. They probably work in teams, and this is just totally talking out my ass, but they probably have, the grader, the guy next to him that like writes down the grade, that gets passed to somebody else who passes to somebody else, and then they stick it in the slab and they weld it together. Like they must work in teams or do some sort of stuff. But anyways, those people as a team are revenue generating employees. And the reason they are revenue generating is because the more cards that that person themselves can grade is the more money that the company makes. Like the accounting department and all those people, while they do help out the company, they are not the ones actually generating revenue. So if you could hire more people up and more teams of people, it is potential that you can increase like a ton of your grading capabilities. And you look at a photo like that of steel workers, back when that building was being built in 1932, you would have like a team of riveters. And if one guy on that team of riveters didn't show up for the day, the entire team didn't work because people just end up working like in sync together. So it is possible that it would be easier than we think it would be for PSA to scale up. And then if they get to the ability to really encapsulate 20 cards a year, and then the market totally drops out and they're not getting as many people, they could probably just start laying off people. And yeah, that's shitty to say, but that's like real basic business 101. But you also now, when you hire new people, you have to have that huge initial investment of paying to train people, and it costs a lot of money to train people. So people always think like, well, because it costs so much money to train people, it doesn't make sense to run that sort of business where you pay a ton of money to train them and then get rid of them when times are slow. But you got to remember, when you have true revenue generating employees, you can actually pay all that money to have them trained, because the entire time they're being trained, they're still pumping out cards, they're still grading cards, they're still working the sonic welder, they're still printing labels, they're still making money for you. So you're actually able to run at a little bit of a loss when you're making like these crazy dollar amounts that PSA is making. And that's when it comes to, the thought process of, well, does it make sense to grade cards at $150, or does it make more sense to just pump out like a ton of cards? So that's more like, I don't know. You could probably talk about that conversation for a while. Sure, people could probably find a lot of holes in what I just said too. Basic trainers. Let's see. Professor Oak, I normally prefer buy it now, but if you want to ride a wave and inflated stock foam all the time, high, bubbly, buy the slab, not the card. Yeah, I'm a big auction guy too, man. Like, it is definitely so. With a lot of the cards that I go after, they do not come up on auction as often as you think. And when I say the cards I go after, is because I look for two things. I look for raw cards, and I look for very mint raw cards. So you might have a raw card up for grading, but it's not like mint. Or you have a mint card, but it's already been graded, so then you already have to pay that premium. And when it comes to the hobby as a whole, I'm definitely like much bigger picture stuff. Like I definitely already like, I know for a fact I have cards in my collection that I already have like a foreseeable future of those cards that will literally not play out for the next half decade. Like we're talking 5 years, I don't see these cards moving. But then I have cards also in my collection which can go out the door tomorrow. So it's real big picture type stuff. And I think when we're seeing like the current downtrend, like that is also what people are not able to do. They're not able to get out of the right now and maybe like look to the future a little bit. And Pokemon is one of those things. Like, if you believe in the IP, if you believe in the cards, if you believe in the set, stuff like this, you gotta like look a little bit big picture and stuff, and understand like there's risk that comes with anything. Even though you're looking 5 years down the line, and you look at the past and you look at the performance and you look at how you feel about the cards and what you think everyone else is going to feel, it doesn't always mean that that's going to be true either. So, you know, no, it's hard to say. You know, we talked about it just the other day. Talked about like all the Black Star promos and stuff. Talk about like Pokemon Center League stuff. Talk about pre-release cards. Forever, those cards weren't really worth a ton of money because there were so many of them. You could buy them in bricks of 100. So You know, when you have a card like that, you know, what was the set I talked about earlier today? I talked about Dragon Frontiers. Dragon Frontiers had a pre-release. It was a Dragonair was the pre-release, and those came in like the little packets of 10. I want to say like Dragon Frontier pre-release cards you could have bought for, you know, a little cellophane pack of 10 of those cards for $10. Who knows how much a pre-release for that card goes for graded now? It's probably like $100 a card. It's crazy. But you got a million different cards like that throughout a million different sets that remove yourself from where you are right now, what prices are doing, pull yourself back 10 years, look at a ton of this stuff, and you'd be like, there is no way in hell people are ever going to pay any sort of, you know, premium over this $1 card. This is a dollar card 10 years ago. And now we look at some of these cards with just a new set of eyes. So, yeah. Jonathan W. said, I heard people were opening up claims and calling PSA for damage done, so PSA panicked. Oh, you know what, Jonathan? You might have just said, like, you just said the most enlightening statement of the day. I think Jonathan's right. If that is true, because you got to keep in mind that PSA has their insurance policy on their cards. So if that was the case, oh my God, Jonathan, I didn't even think about that, but you're probably 100% right. So you got to keep in mind, if they upcharge somebody on that card, valuing at $15,000, and that card was damaged in the case, it needs to now, under the PSA insurance value, be valued at the $15,000. And what are they going to do? They're going to go back and say, no, even though we upcharged you, valuing this card at $15,000, it's in fact not worth $15,000, which I think we could all agree on. That card is not worth $15,000. I never thought about that. Holy crap. That if that is true, Jonathan, like, oh my God. Wow, that's like a total aha moment for me. That if that is really the case, though, that is exactly why PSA stopped grading them, because they probably just got, how many PSA 10s are in existence right now? I want to say like I I saw the number a little while ago. It's like 35 or something like that. It's probably more by now. But you got to figure, if you had 35 damaged PSA 10s through the PSA insurance policy, 35 times 15 G's. Holy crap. Wow. There's some smart people who put those claims in. Oh, man. That's interesting. Cheval says, Poke Knowledge, I thought Professor Oak was talking about selling a PSA 10 Metal Charizard. I'd sell it through auction, even though I prefer buy it now as a seller. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any of those PSA 10 Metal Charizards up for sale right now. It's like, honestly, a card that's not even on my radar right now. So I wouldn't even know if that was a card or not. Yeah. Yeah, so Jonathan said, yeah, he confirmed it with a couple friends that that's what it was. So Jonathan, did your friend say what the actual damage was to the card and how that damage looked like it happened? Was that damage done by like the sonic welder, do they think, or was the damage actually done with the card sliding within the slab itself? Professor Oak said, can we talk about why there's no PSA 10 for Dark Explorer set? LOL. I don't know, man. I don't know how many people are grading black and white Dark Explorer cards. Probably not that many. I think Dark Explorers doesn't get it. People shit on it a lot. It's not a terrible set. I just think we're so far away from black and white ever being valuable, which ironically, when you think about like the valuation of Pokemon cards, it was, okay, we're going to value EX, we're going to value Diamond and Pearl, we're going to value Heart Gold, Soul Silver. We're just going to totally skip over all black and white sets. Well, yeah, for the most part. And then we're going to value all XY sets. So it is funny that people just pretend like black and white doesn't exist. So maybe that's why there's no PSA 10 for Dark Explorers. That's funny though. Yeah, Professor Oak said that baby needs a dad hug. Yeah, I hear my baby. I was hoping my wife would wake up to take care of him. She knows I'm doing a live right now. All right, guys. Well, it was fun. I'm gonna have to go take care of that. Oh wait, I hear my wife. She just got up. Never mind. Are you taking care of them? All right, we're back. I don't have to end this live stream. We're good, guys. She just went and got a bottle. Uh, Jonathan said, so apparently the thickness of the metal and the fact that it was scratching and pressing against the slab very easily was causing the metal to start chipping inadvertently as well. Was it, so again, Jonathan, just because I don't know, was the metal chipping, like, was it rubbing on the front of the card because of like how the card was like risen a little bit, or was it chipping along like the edges of the card on the plastic? So Cheval said, Pokey Knowledge's wife is the true MVP. I've changed the most diapers. Okay, maybe. Before I went back to work, when I was on paternity leave, I definitely changed the most diapers. But yeah, no, that Charizard, that I think that would be one of those anomalous cards. And I did make, there's a reason I made a post on my channel. I was just like, there's always something going on. And I think that was a good example of just there's always something going on in the hobby, like some sort of crazy drama. And that is definitely like one of those crazy dramas. And like I said, that plot unthickening where they were upcharging people for a $15,000 valuation on a card that was obviously shill bidded and not paid for. It's crazy. So Jonathan said indenting on the top a bit and chipping along the sides both. Oh, so it was all around. Sounds like a shit show. I wonder what the option would be in order to not have that happen. I mean, so we talked about this in a different stream. So you have the ability. Yeah, you can't do that. It would slide around too much. Never mind. What I was gonna say, but it doesn't make any sense, is because you know how we talked about for pack grading, you could make the pack graded slabs thicker by just putting like another like piece in the middle, and you could raise it up a little bit. I was gonna say, can you do the same thing for a regular PSA slab? But you can't do it the way those slabs are built. And number two, if you did that, then that car would be sliding around like absolutely crazy. So I don't know what they would do for to fix that issue. I would say like put it in a penny sleeve or something, but even that probably won't make a difference. So, and then everyone, well, there are a lot of people don't really like penny sleeves inside their slabs. Like I know a lot of people talk bad about BGS because theirs are in penny sleeves sometimes. Basic Trainer says, I value black and white base for having the first full art in history. Yeah, man. I think we just talked about that. That the Zekrom and the Reshiram from Black and White as being, well, first I'm very happy that they reprinted the Reshiram and Zekrom full arts from Black and White in Celebrations. But yeah, those were the very first ever full art cards, and they were so different than anything we had ever seen before. And when you think back on it, right, like obviously the set name is Black and White, so it's like the big duh. But at the time, when you look at how those full art cards were produced, literally just being like an all black card versus an all white card being full arts, there, it's just, it was a game changer. And when you think about that, yeah, that Zekrom and Reshiram, like the lineage now from looking at those cards to where we're at today with full arts and textured cards and all this stuff, like you do have to give a ton of props and respect to that card. But when you look back on these black and white sets, like really those two cards are the only cards that really come to mind. And yeah, there's definitely like a lot of cards that come to mind, but for black and white, yes, those are the cards that everyone thinks about. But I think that what you just said there is a fantastic point. And you do have to value them just for, yeah, like their place in history. And once you respect the history of Pokemon, like you respect everything after it. And yeah. Jonathan said, yeah, rest in peace to Rusty. Unfortunately, he had a ton over there, yeah. You said Booyah had inner sleeves. Need a thicker slab. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be tough to say. Derek said they were cheap even before they got reprinted, and I think he's referring to the full art black and white cards. Yeah, they were cheapened. I just think it, like I already said it earlier. It's literally like you can. What's that movie? The time that, or the land that time forgot. You can call that the black and white, the set that time forgot. It's just people people skip over black and white. And well, when you think about black and white, like when you go the first two sets, like major stinkers. Black and white as a whole, major stinker set, and then Emergent Powers following up as the first expansion of black and white. Like, you know, like we now, because like how the modern market is, we make jokes about like the investability of like a Crimson Invasion or a Steam Siege. From an investability standpoint, nothing to do with like a playability standpoint, but just from the investability. But when you go back, like you can really look at Emergent Powers as being the most mediocre, uninvestable set of imaginable. But now you go and you look at what the dollar amount is for an Emergent Powers booster box, you would probably like have to double take that. Like, look, wait, how much is Emergent Powers selling for? So I think that's more like a scarcity thing, and a scarcity and rarity thing of the booster box itself, and people just wanting to complete an Emergent Powers like sealed collection for whatever reason. I think people just have a little bit too much money when it comes to making crazy purchases like that. Uh, uh, they already to a thin sleeve. They're just on the back side. Oh, for some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Oh, that's good to know. So you said Booyah was pretty much saying that PSA already does do that with sleeves. Yeah, that's good to know. I'm sure they must have already considered that. There's no way that they would just, turn away all these cards if that was still an option. So, uh, so Tyler won my first vintage lot on eBay today. Hey Tyler, that's a big day for you, man. I'm curious though, what was in the vintage lot that you won on eBay today? Like, was it, was it a semi-vintage lot? Was it a vintage lot? Was it just like a base set unlimited cards, fossil jungle, stuff like that? Or was it a little more niche in the Neo sets? Was it a little more niche in the gym sets? Was it even nichier in the Expedition, Aquapolis, Skyridge? What was it? I'm always interested, especially as being your big purchase, and how many cards were in that lot. So stuff like that. That's the stuff that makes me real interested. And then now that you let us know you bought a vintage lot, we'll need the follow up comment in a week or two from now, and you got to let us know condition for those. But I've had the most luck with Pokemon lots in the past, just because the value's there, especially from like the more investability side of the hobby, and completion wise too. Like, it's literally impossible to complete sets, complete collections. Yes, you obviously do. The first thing most people do is you look at a set, you find the cards in the set that appeal to you. Doesn't always have to be a dollar amount. Go after those cards. Mainly, like, I'll go after the cards I think have the nicest art of the set, and then you know you get real scattered. Sometimes doing that, buying one card at a time. But when you could buy a lot, it's real easy to fill a lot of those gaps in real quick. So I do love that. Professor Oak said, I'm surprised the Charizard in the EX Dragon set from back in 2003 doesn't get as much love. Such original artwork. So, Professor Oak, when you're talking about the Charizard in EX Dragons, like, that's so EX Dragons has 99 cards in it. So that's the last of the secret rare. So I think it's 103. Oh no, 103 out of 100 or 103 out of 99. Something like that. But that Charizard you're talking about from EX Dragon, there was 3 secret rares in that. There was the Charmander, the Charmeleon, and the Charizard. And it doesn't get the love it deserves, because when you think about Nintendo taking over that era, yeah, there was a Charizard, like I guess you can call it like a few sets before in Skyridge, but then when you had Ruby Sapphire came out, that was the first Nintendo set. There was no Charizard. When Sandstorm came out, which was the second expansion from the Nintendo sets, there was no Charizard. So that Charizard, that secret rare in EX Dragon, is the very first ever Charizard printed by Nintendo. So you're right, like it does not get the love it deserves. And I don't know if like people will ever start looking at cards in that way, like from a history aspect of like, okay, this is the first ever Charizard that was ever in a Nintendo set, but maybe someday people will look at cards that way. But I do believe what you're saying, that that Charizard doesn't get as much love. And it, like, I understand, I know the card Charizard's like swooping down and it's got like the fire breathing out, but I don't really love that artwork as probably as much as maybe you think I do. I just love the thought of the card a little bit more than the actual artwork. So Cheval says, have you watched a VMAX Climax box open? If so, thoughts from an entertainment experience standpoint, not investment. Entertainment standpoint, I saw the character card for the Jolteon. I was a big fan of that card. PTCG Radio. The guy, I think his name is Ross. He did like I want to say like the very first live stream, and so he showed off some of those full art trainer cards. From just like viewing wise, I think it's an amazing like experience. Now, what is that going to mean in the long term? I don't know. And the reason why I say I don't really know what it's going to mean in the long term is because, like, I'm kind of still confused a little bit by VMAX Climax, giggity, because like a lot of the V cards, in my opinion, are actually a little bit better than some, not all of them, but some of the full art character cards, like the Pikachu V. I really like that card. I think that's like, well, I think as of right now, it's the best Pikachu V card ever made. The Pikachu V Max, awesome card. The Mimikyu V Max, awesome card. Like, there are so many good cards in that set that are non-character cards, even though they're sort of like character cards. It's just, it's such a, I could see that being a fun set. I could see that being a set people are going to love to open, but it brings up like the question of like the investability of that. There being so many character cards, VMAX cards, V cards, whatever, 100 total character cards in general, however you want to subset them, that there's no way the value of all these cards can stay up high. Like, it's literally impossible. But again, like I said earlier, if one of those cards you really love, like, you could probably acquire a bunch of them really cheap. So, but I'm not a Japanese guy, but like, I'm not foolish too when a product comes out that obviously has a lot going for it. And I think VMAX Climax has a ton going for it right now. Jonathan said, Professor Okor, the secret rare Zard from Stormfront, even more of a beauty in Japanese. Yeah, so again, I don't like talking about Japanese, but the Charizard from Stormfront, I think that's just that's a lot of people's favorite card, just being a reimagined artwork of the original base set Zard by Arita. Like, I think it was interesting that, well, not interesting, but I think when Pokemon did get Arita to do that reimagined artwork for the Charizard secret rare from Stormfront, it was the right play at the time. And the fact that he made that Charizard with like the green wings too, the green in that Charizard from Stormfront, like it's a very distinct green that he chose, and it's almost reminiscent of like the Shadowless Green Wing Charizard like artwork from the Shadowless base set booster boxes. Like, it's all around like, yeah, definitely agree with you though, Jonathan. Tyler said, all right, so this was his bulk purchase. Let's critique it. All unlimited base set, Fossil Jungle, base set 2, Gym Challenge, around 300 cards maybe. 10-ish hollows, $130. Hey man, if that's your first bulk purchase, I think that's a great starting point. Like I'm guessing those are probably the sets you grew up with. You grew up with, the base set, Jungle, Fossil, uh, base set 2, stuff like that. Plus 10 hollows, like that's a good starting point for $130, 300 cards. You're talking when you break down price wise, you're only in for a couple cents each. Like as a starting point, I think that's a very good starting point. And 300 cards is going to give you a lot to work with too for a little bit. Start to look at the conditions. Start out of the 300. Let's hope a couple of those cards maybe are worth grading. Like it will give you a reason to start researching those sets, researching the cards, find out what prices are selling at. Like see if you have any of those special variations, any sort of error card stuff like that, more nichey stuff. And then especially 300 cards, there's no way that they were able to photograph every single one. So you might have some gems in there that you don't know about yet, or maybe the person selling doesn't even know about yet. So yeah. Hey, I'm happy for you, man. I think that's great. uh, he said I also have about 10-ish complete sets from late XY to Sword and Shield. Okay, so you're definitely a more modern collector, which I'm fine with. Like Professor Oak, unpopular opinion. VMAX Pokemon look weird and don't love them. I thought that at first. I think there was a couple VMAXs that came out like right off the rip, and I was like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about a couple of these VMAXs, but they've definitely grown on me. Like to be honest, like I wasn't a huge fan of the hyper rare Pikachu from Vivid Voltage. Like being a Chunkachu, like it was a fun card, but the problem is I don't like hyper rare rainbow cards. Like can never really see the artwork. I was always way more of a fan of like the alternative art Pikachu with like the pink background and stuff. I was definitely like more of a fan of that card. But and then like Darkness Ablaze, like uh never pull the Charizard VMAX, always pull the freaking what is it, the Center Scorch is in Darkness Ablaze. Hate that card. Hate it, hate it, hate it, because I pull it all the time. Never pull the card I actually was looking for. Uh Derek said, I picked up the Lance's Charizard for picked up the Lance and Charizard for $13 from VMAX Climax. I think you mean the Leon and Charizard, but yeah, if they're already selling for $13, I would say that that's probably like a good price. I don't know. I'm not like up to date, but $13 for a super new set sounds right. But yeah, I think you mean the Leon and Charizard. Oh, he wrote it right below. He said, yeah, sorry, Leon and Charizard. Oh, see, I should read more of the chat. Shabal says, I think the character cards are the most common special cards. The special Vs and VMAXs are rare, if I understand correctly. Okay. I'm still learning. I'm not like crazy up to date on modern, and especially when it comes to like the Japanese cards, I try not to stay like too up to date too, because when they do trickle their way into English, if you are too focused on the Japanese cards and what the Japanese set release was like, you'll be disappointed 100% of the time. So, Professor Oak, that Gengar though, Gengar already looks VMAX though. Have you seen a Rainbow Gyarados GX in person? Anonymous, are you talking about have I seen the Rainbow Gyarados from Crimson Invasion? The the chase card of that set? Uh did I? I don't know. I might own one. I'd have to look. I want to say no. I didn't open up a lot of Crimson Invasion, but I think that's funny. Isn't I did this conversation just go for me shitting on the Gyarados GX from Crimson Invasion? But no, it's pretty funny. He said it's so pretty how you can hate rainbows. I don't know. I don't know how you guys could like rainbows. I think when rainbows came out, like I don't know if people were as excited about them until they really got them. And yeah, they're nice, but they're weak all overall. Rainbow cards display terribly. If I had a rainbow card right there on the wall, you would have no freaking clue which card it was unless I actually put it up to the screen. And then even like for a lot of the full art trainer cards, like no one really likes the rainbow cards, and it's one of the very few times that you'll see full art trainer cards in the non-rainbow form sell for as much as the rainbow cards. And when you think about it, the chances of pulling one of those hyper rare rainbow cards is probably a lot higher than the full art trainer cards. So for a lot of the times, for to see those prices get so close to each other is pretty crazy. Bob Thrasher said, wait, so Professor Oak said first, hold on. You said Booyah said you've seen one rainbow rare, you've seen them all. Yeah. Professor Oak said, I'm excited for a new Pokemon to be announced in the next release for Sword and Shield. So when you're talking about the next release, are you talking after Sword and Shield? So are you talking like, so we're in Generation 8 right now? Are you talking like you're excited about whatever they're going to release in Generation 9? Or are you talking about just whatever cards are released in the next Sun and Moon like expansion? Bob Thrasher, good to see you on the channel. He said Crimson Invasion was my first booster box I bought. Well, I mean, depends when you bought that booster box, but you probably paid $80 for it. So I'm sure I have zero clue what the current price of Crimson Invasion is, but I'd say it's probably like $150, $160. So you 2x your money. So good for you. Tyler said, my favorite era is Neo. Yeah. If you like Shining cards, Neo is great. I'd be curious what your favorite set in Neo is. Is it, I don't know. A lot of people have, Neo sets aren't that big either. So, like, they do have some nice hollows, though. I think there's some of the, very nostalgic cards, especially when it comes to Neo. Mason said rainbows are terrible to play with as well. Can't read them at all. Yeah, like especially if you're being a judge too for competitive play and somebody plays a card, like especially if you got a lot of games going on at once and you're kind of just maybe more walking around, and you definitely be really hard to see the card. You probably always have to stop everything you're doing and go see what card somebody's playing. Cheval said some rainbows have nice texture and vivid voltage as they pop well though. Professor Oak said, yes, next gen. Okay, yeah. So I am interested in what like Gen 9 will be. Because you look at what Pokemon's doing with sets right now with products, and you gotta ask yourself, like, what's next? What's next for Pokemon? What's the next big leap? And you're almost like asking yourself, like, how can they top this? How can they top this set? And I think character cards was a good start, especially a lot of people talked like Evolve and Sky, well, Celebrations, Evolve and Skies, like those two. It's like, oh, where do we go from here? Like Pokemon isn't really going to be able to top this. And then when Fusion Strike came out, Fusion Strike was an okay set, but still was kind of a stinker. So Kabutops and Scissor Hollows from Neo Discovery in my top 5 favorite hollows of all time. Oh, I'm surprised you say the Scissor one. Yes, the water type Kabutops, so cool. I could definitely get behind the Kabutops though. Yeah. All right, guys, we managed to go on this stream for about hour and 33 minutes talking about, the Leon Hart Pop Shop for the first couple minutes, just saying that, yes, I will be down there. Yes, I am very excited. And then we just did what I love to do more than anything else in this world. We just, shoot the shit a little bit and just talk Pokemon. But I appreciate every single one of you guys tuning in. If you could do me a favor, hit that like button. Help me out a lot. But other than that, I'll catch you on the next video.